Welcome to the Rebel Crow Psychic Show with your host, Athena Silver.
Hi, I'm Anya River.
Tonight, we are talking about how the billionaires create wealth. We're talking about manifesting like you want that grand life, telling the universe exactly what we want with powerful words and powerful intentions to live and create the life that we want to live. Are you excited, Anya?
Yeah, and while we may not ever become billionaires, we can definitely increase our levels of happiness, wealth, health, security, prosperity, peace, everything good that you want, you can manifest through your words. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Now, let's get into Elon Musk's secrets to his billion-dollar fortune. I bet you it's through positive affirmations. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that, okay, so right off the bat, your inner monologue, right? Like your inner
Yeah.
monologue is everything. So for me, like when I work with people, anytime I work with people, I'm telling them, are you watching your thoughts? Like, are you listening to your thoughts? Can you tell how you're talking to yourself? Because that's the key to everything, right?
I think a lot of these mega wealthy people have this very positive mindset about themselves and about their work and about their lives. And I think a lot of them are saying what they want and with intention, and it's being manifest throughout the world.
Mm-hmm.
Every idea is that seed that starts this journey to creating the actual product or service or whatever it is that gets manifested. Now, when we put that seed within ourselves, whether that's intention or that's a power affirmation through a word or a visualization or a photo, anything that we lay our desire into and we send it out with the intention of becoming true, we're telling the universe exactly what we want, and that's how we get it. So I think a lot
Yeah.
of these people have all these riches and wealth and all of this, a lot of them go for it.
Mm-hmm.
They leap for it. They don't sit there and let insecurities get to them. If they want it, they visualize it, they go for it. And I think that that's a very vital secret of theirs to why they're so successful.
Yeah. And that while there's definitely like issues with the concept of being a billionaire and I think there's a lot there behind it. Like, should we have billionaires? X,
Oh,
Y, and Z. There's more
absolutely.
about control and power. And, like, obviously, I don't think everybody can be a billionaire. I don't think that that's even possible. But when we're talking about increasing your levels of health, wealth, everything, prosperity, peace, inner peace, you know, um, one thing that you mentioned, the affirmations, right? Like, so there's a lot
Yeah.
of contention around affirmations. And I can give you a theory, my own personal theory as to why there's contention around affirmations. So, affirmations by themselves, affirmations are an incredible tool. And I think that they are part of the package. But it's like, just like when you're losing weight, you can't just exercise, or you can't just take a supplement pill. An
Yeah.
affirmation without all of the other pieces of the puzzle, including how you're talking to yourself, mean nothing. But as a part of a package where you're like working on your goal and you're surrounding yourself with your goal and monitoring what your inner monologue is telling you, okay, so like if you're saying like I want to lose weight and you use your affirmation, I want to lose weight, you're probably not going to lose weight, because that's
Yeah,
another
because
thing.
it's still a want. It's not a
Yes.
now. That's why, like,
Yeah.
if you want to live, and be monetarily successful, you say to yourself, I live richly. Richness is around me right now. It also helps you to
Mhm.
be very like happy with what you have, and it teaches you gratitude as well, because when you're living richly in your studio apartment with
Mm-hmm.
that real slim bank account, it's a little bit hard. But if you push through it and keep reinforcing that I'm living this rich life, you're going to find a lot of happiness in the items and the love and the memories that you have close to you. So that breeds more of that richness, because you're going to
Yeah.
go after more of what you have already, and it's going to multiply and expand. So a lot
Right,
of it is
exactly.
mindset.
Yeah, that's what I mean by that, like inner monologue. You could yes, you could expand that to say mindset, because mindset is a little bit bigger than the inner monologue. So
Yeah.
definitely, that's a very good point. But basically, it's about surrounding yourself, and one of the easiest ways you can drench yourself in repetitive, this repetitive idea, which is what the subconscious responds to. The subconscious, it responds to what it sees and hears in the environment. And then it sort of like brings you in that direction. So if you're saying, if you're making mistake number one and saying, I want to be wealthy, then your subconscious already knows off the bat you're not wealthy. If you're not
Yeah.
doing anything like cleaning up your environment, maybe you can't afford like $10,000 drapes, but buying something really nice for yourself that you can see every day, that was like a splurge that
Or
adds to your
making them
environment.
yourself,
Yeah,
you
yeah, you
know,
could totally make them yourself.
upcycling and flipping it and creating something new. But again,
Yeah,
it roots back to being grateful for what you already have, which
yeah,
a lot of people, it's hard for them, especially when you're in a poverty type situation. You want to be as big as, Lady Gaga or one of those big stars, and you're still living at your mom's house. That dream can seem really far. But if you're living that life of a star, if you're chasing your dream, if you're not taking no for an answer, if you're really going hard and trying to find opportunities for yourself, you will manifest more of that, because you're in a positive mindset. You're in the mindset of, I'm going to make it. I'm making it right now. Everything I do that's positive feeds me and feeds my soul. You've got to look at everything you do as success. You'll feel
mm-hmm.
successful, even if you're
Yeah,
not at the level that you want to be. You're still living that agent of success in the short term, in the now.
yeah. You want to know something, a little trick that makes me feel insanely wealthy, and it's sort of like ridiculous when you think about it. Well, we've only had electricity for like what, a couple hundred years.
Yeah.
Running water, everything like that. Sometimes when I sit there and I'm like going off into my weird land, like my weird Aquarius land,
Yeah.
and I think about like, oh my God, we have like, we basically live like kings, like from 1,000 years ago, like our lives today, even some of us who are the most disadvantaged, and I've been in that spot, in my life, where like we have so much. And that sort of like does jumpstart going to the next level, going to the next level, going to the next level. So
Well,
anyway, that's something I
I
do.
think there's an element of achievement, of drive, that you have to have as well with this mindset, because when you're at rock bottom, it's really hard to be positive. It's really hard to be in that mindset, because all you can see is what you don't have versus what
Yeah.
you do have. And a lot of people get lost in that, and I'm not, this is sometimes manifesting comes to you more easily when you're in a lifetime where you can manifest. There are some lifetimes that our souls have to experience where it's pretty rock bottom and dark and tragic, but
Yeah.
it's to teach us lessons about loss, about poverty, about going without, and if we don't learn these lessons on our soul's journey, our soul doesn't get the development that it needs. Some lifetimes are easier than others. And I know that seems hard to wrap your head around sometimes, but
Yeah.
you got to step back sometimes and realize that, we all go through these issues when it's our time, and we can learn something from it. We can take something away from those experiences. But with
Yeah.
manifesting, the people who are in a manifesting mindset, who are in a manifesting lifetime, who are open and their channels are open, then it's going to be super easy for them, and they should manifest big, bad, and great things. But the people who are struggling, they've got to realize first, you've got to be grateful for what you already have. Once you start there, then you can build on it.
And also, one thing, it's super cheesy to say this, but it's real, like if you're in one of those lifetimes, there's still love, like monetary things are not everything. Like monetary things are, we need money, we need certain, certain standard of living, and that's undebatable, and I feel for people who are in those lifetimes. I know people, I have friends who are in those lifetimes, and I feel so much for that circumstance,
well,
and there's more than love.
Yeah. And well, if you think about it, to somebody who is not in a relationship, they can feel that loss of love, and that could derail them. It doesn't just have to be money or means that derail you. Even rich people get, upset and depressed and down on themselves about something. So it's part of that human experience. But when manifesting, it's really important that you don't get lost in the repetitiveness of the activity, that you have to have a goal in sight, because once you have that goal and you reach it, I can start another affirmation and go another extra mile, because you can plateau and kind of get lost in saying that prayer over and over and over and over again. And you can feel like, well, what am I doing here? If you don't have that goal of, okay, well, I asked for, a new job. All right, I may have gotten promoted here. That's great for the intern, but that's not necessarily what I'm looking for. I may take it and keep saying my affirmation until I get that new job. But knowing that half step is there is a way for you to gauge that success that you're having.
Yeah. Well, you can't go from working at a desk job to, immediately being, the head of the CEO of a company. Like there's got to be intermediary steps.
Yeah.
But I'm going to speak to the repetitive, the comment about repetitiveness, because I find that that's something that really does work for me, is having the repetitiveness. So I'm going to counter that a little bit,
Well, especially, I'm talking about when you're asking for something for years on end and it hasn't come yet. You can get to a point in your journey where you're like, what am I doing? Like, why am I saying this?
At that point,
and when you get there, it's good to look back to see, like, how far have I come? What are my benchmarks? What is my next benchmark so I can work towards something?
See, I would say if that is a situation that's going on in someone's life where like it's been years and years and years, I would look at a couple of things. I would look at how you're asking and if you really want that thing, because sometimes, like, if you're asking for something and your subconscious and your ego are not in alignment, it's not going to happen no matter what. Like you have to have all parts of yourself in alignment for this to move forward, right? So like,
there's another side to that.
Go ahead.
The reason I say that is it comes from personal experience. Okay. I said the same prayer over and over and over and over again for probably about 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it was to find a godparent in a certain tradition and to start my path in that tradition. And there was a point that I was like, yes, alignment does have a part to play in it, but it wasn't my time yet. I needed to want it to a certain degree. I needed to align certain parts of myself, certain parts of my journey, certain parts of my life before that person was able to come to me. I also had to be prepared to receive that opportunity when it did show itself. So yeah, it can be years and years and years. And yes, you're saying the same thing, but if you're not able to receive it and enjoy it for when it does come, it doesn't, it can lose its meaning when you're waiting for it for years and years.
Yeah, that's so interesting how each different like end, let's call it a goal. I don't really like to call them goals, but desire. There can be a myriad of different situations and different ways of going about actually manifesting. That's
Yeah.
really interesting, and what might be blocking you. So I think it's important to number one, be very conscious of your intentions. Like when you're looking to manifest something, or if you're saying to yourself, I desire this, or I desire that, it's so important to be aware of your feelings and your reasons and the feelings that come up when you put that intention out, so like when you had this situation, like did you sort of like, I feel like we know when it's just not the right time yet. We know, I feel anyway, that I can feel it inside of myself when like something comes up, like what you're talking about in
Yeah.
your situation. Like there's a feeling that is there. It's a very specific feeling that that comes up when it's just not the right time, but it will happen.
Yeah. Well, that's,
You know?
I had reached that part at certain parts of my journey. Certain parts, I was like, all right, it might not happen, but I'm going to keep asking, because when it does happen, I'm going to be ready, and I'm going
Yeah.
to grab that opportunity and deal with it, and handle it properly. But in the dark of it, though, it's the repetitiveness that kind of guides you through a little bit, but also the gratitude factor. I know we keep circling back to it, but if you're not grateful for things, the universe will not give you what you want. It's going to give you what you need. And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily always a fun ride to be on.
Manifesting helps a ton when you have your spiritual team on your side.
Yeah.
When you know that you're looking for something that is for a reason that they're going to look favorably on, in my experience anyway. Like I've always been able to attain more wealth when I am saying, this is not just for me, this is not just for status. I could really care less about status. This is for, the grandchildren. This is for, you know, um, working on things, being able to have freedom to work on things that, we need to work on in this life. And it sort of like brings everything back into place, onto an axis that is aligned. So I think that's a really good point too. Yeah.
I also think that offering goes a long way.
Yes.
You know, if you're going to ask for something, you need to give something in return. So you may be asking for health for somebody, but you need to make an offering, or they're going to take health from somebody else to give to you. It's a balance that has to be maintained. And I know this does not go for every tradition. All traditions are different. You got to keep that in mind. Revert back to your elders. But generally speaking, it's a balance that's maintained. So if you're trying to manifest something big, you have got to be very, very grateful, and you've got to show it in some kind of way. So
Yeah.
for me, if I'm asking anything big, I'll go and make a donation, to a
Mhm.
charity, or to, a religious organization, or, to somebody in need. Because
That's
to
funny.
me,
I do the same.
yeah, it's especially when you're working with money. I notice if you're trying to manifest money, giving money away
Yep.
um, helps to manifest it. They usually manifest it pretty big.
You think it's counterintuitive, but it's about the money spirit. It wants to move. She wants to move,
And
you
it's
know?
also showing that that you're not hoarding it, that it's not
Hmm.
an unnatural attachment, because there's the Scrooge McDucks out there in this world. who want to hoard money and hoard wealth, those big billionaire types, that don't want to do the giving back, the philanthropy part. And it affects them. You notice it. It may not get them right away, but you'll start noticing somebody might go away for RICO. Somebody, somebody might have bankruptcy issues. Somebody's wife might leave them and they never got a prenup and now they owe, $200 billion, these things happen, but it's because they did not pay what they were supposed to pay. They did not pay their debt. Yes. But it was a magical, spiritual, energetic tax.
No, I'm saying literally.
I think giving back is so important, even if it's acts of kindness.
Yeah, your time. I was just going to say time, attention, service, kindness, all of these things. It's just so funny because it's like you were talking about a duality in another episode, and I feel like there is a duality there too, where you do things from the kindness, from your heart, from your soul, from your spirit, and it's linked up with manifesting, and that you're going to get return on this at the same time, but it's not because you're going to get returned, like it's a very interesting, it's a very, very interesting line walking when you're manifesting.
But you can manifest for darkness too. That's like the under the table handed way. You know what, with that, the debt is a lot higher.
Yeah, that's not my thing. Tell me about it though.
It's not mine either, but there are people and practitioners out there that are working the darker arts that when they want to manifest something big, they manifest it through like blood animal sacrifice and different types of darker offerings, that are not for the faint of heart. Some of the, how do I put this? Some of the more naturalistic, older religions, a lot of them have that other path that you could take towards manifesting.
Gotcha.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're manifesting for positivity.
Yeah.
There are some people out there that got rich from the wrong ways,
I believe that wholeheartedly.
There are a lot of people.
I do believe
you
that.
And I off camera will have a conversation about that, because I have a few lists of people that I think got their riches the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anymore.
No, I know. It's like we see you out there acting up.
And you know what? It's like, and that's one thing too, is like releasing this idea that you ever need that much. Like I have no feelings of desiring that much, it's just simply about like getting to the next level, and being able to be in a position, like if we're talking like just straight money stuff, it's about more freedom, at this point. It's like, but that's something I highly value. So like when I'm talking about
there are people though that when manifesting money, they don't care how they manifest it. They may manifest it through selling drugs. They may manifest it through, sticking up, robbing people. So it's like there are always two sides of that road, and you've really got to know yourself and where you stand and where your magical boundaries are before you would even attempt any kind of manifestation to begin with. If you're in a place of, if you're lost, you're broken, you're not really sure who you are, what you're doing, don't try to manifest anything, because you will manifest a very broken version of what you desire.
No.
And it may cause harm and hurt and loss in your life.
That's a very, very good point. Work on getting yourself whole, because as above, so below. as within,
Yeah.
so without. So yeah, that's definitely something, where you need to get yourself back on your axis and moving forward in your life. And yeah, and increase, definitely like self-compassion, have compassion for wherever you are, because we've all been in all of the places. you know
I would also argue that doing divination before manifestation is extremely important, because
Mhm.
there are a lot of things that you may want to manifest that are just not right for you. You may be a teenager manifesting, a child when it's not necessarily such a great time to bring one in. You're not in a steady place. There's a lot of life you got to live, before you're really where you should be. No judgment on anybody, but you've got to know that this is right for you, which,
Mhm.
and I think pulling some cards, getting a reading, sitting down and meditating and asking your guides, is this right for me? Before you go through candle magic, before you go through any kind of positive affirmation training, any sort of readjustment with your perspective and things of that nature, any kind of witchcraft that you're even thinking about doing, sitting down and pulling some cards and getting some perspective and engaging your guides to see if this is even the right path for you. Because there may be other things and other factors on this path that you're not taking into consideration that can affect how you're trying to manifest stuff. So, manifesting on its own, yeah, we think of it in simplistic ways, but it's a lot deeper than most people realize.
Yeah. And you do. Yeah, those are excellent points to bring up. Um, because it sort of does feel like a beginner's thing, but when you realize the level of self-awareness that you must possess in order to be able to do this in a way that's going to benefit you and those around you. You're right. You're right. There is a lot. You need a lot of self-awareness. You need maturity,
You need
so
self
it's actually
control.
not as a beginner of a an activity, not an activity, but you know what I mean.
A
Fill me in
concept.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as beginner as it seems, from
You
popular
can
culture.
practice it in a beginner capacity to get yourself introduced. How would
Yeah.
you go about introducing somebody to manifesting?
You
Somebody who's got no magical knowledge whatsoever or very little.
just small things that we have every day anyway, um just small things. I think, like, see how it goes, like saying, like, a cup of coffee, or a parking spot, or something like that, or a friend calling, and just see how, like, observe
Yeah.
yourself after you've put the intention out there. Observe, like, what you're saying, again, the inner monologue, like, how are you responding to yourself, because if you're asking for something small, then there shouldn't be too much of an issue about your intentions, or about reasons why you might be holding yourself back. You can just sort of play with your power without too much too much coming down on you, but
To
then you
that,
just keep going a little further.
yeah, to that point, I would say playing games with yourself.
Oh, that's
one
good.
one thing that I do is I'll pick a keyword and I'm like, I
Hmm.
want to see it either written, I want to hear somebody else say it, I want to watch TV or a movie and have it been said, um, and see how many times you can make it manifest throughout the day.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, it's a good way to
I like
test yourself.
that.
And like sometimes you pick like bizarre ones, and then you hear like overhear somebody on the phone saying it to somebody else. You're like, what the hell? Like there it is.
That's really, really good. I do like, so again, with the affirmations, you could play with the affirmations, because I don't think that there's too much danger in that. Like, if you're saying, I have peace in my life, or my home is peaceful, I find it helps a lot, because when you can change your inner system, you know things on the outside also reflect that. So, maybe it is a little bit more advanced, but I think it's worthwhile to, consistently tell yourself, like, I am loved, I have peace, I am, I'm strong, I'm,
I think
X, Y,
also
and Z.
working these affirmations inward,
Mm-hmm.
is a very good way to start. Like telling yourself, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to prove how happy I am today. I'm going to prove it to myself. I'm going to find something that brings me joy, and I'm going to make sure I enjoy it deeply. There's other ways to apply it. And anytime you're working within yourself, you're healing parts of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the great thing about these words of affirmation, these power words, whatever you want to call them, they can be applied in so many different ways and very creatively to fix and heal and release different things within your life. You can manifest for happiness and wind up, getting put in a job in a different country and not realizing that that's what you needed to be happy. It just looked a whole lot different than you expected it. That's another great part of manifesting, is receiving it when it does manifest and not trying to change it or judge it or put it in a box.
No, the surprises are the best ones because they're always better than what you would have thought you would have expected.
Absolutely.
So it's important to be careful about your wording too. Like, you don't want to be like, I want something like super specific, like a specific person. It's just more along the lines of I want a healthy relationship. I want the healthiest relationship. I want, think of like the qualities that you're thinking of, like, especially when you're working at that level of, trying to bring in a partner or manifest a certain kind of, relationship in your life.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It's been really fun. I'm Athena Silver. I'm a professional psychic medium, a tarot reader, and a spiritual guide, and a witch. If anybody would like to have a reading with me, my website is readingswithathenasilver.com. My Instagram is @athena.silver. My TikTok is @Athena_silver. My Facebook is Readings with Athena Silver. How did I get to you, Anya?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Anya River, ANJARIVER, and I do tarot readings, and I am a certified past life regression hypnotherapist.
Fantastic. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and check back in with us at the rebelcrowpsychicshow.com for a free full episode. You can also find episodes every Thursday on YouTube and on all major podcasting platforms.